Like most people would just probably piss their pants and fuck off.
That's pretty much my philosophy. I have improvised as I've gone along. Unfortunately, I have never come out ahead.
Amen to that.
Welcome to the Tairimo Boys podcast. I'm your host Cody. With me in second chair is the man who loves to be lashed with a bullwhip. It's Jeremy.
I do like a good time.
With me in third chair is the person here who looks second best in a fedora. It's Ryan.
What's up?
Right, today we've got a very special episode, just like all of our episodes. We're going to be doing something new here where we're going to be analyzing a good movie and seeing why it's good. So, today's movie, if you couldn't tell by the title, is the first Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Ryan, what were your first thoughts on the movie?
Greatest movie of all time. Thanks for coming to the podcast. We'll see you all next week.
Good night, everyone.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, Ryan, a big thing with Ryan's life is Indiana Jones. The second thing is Batman.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun summer.
Foreshadowing.
I can feel it already.
Jeremy, what were your first thoughts?
This is one of the greatest movies of all time. There's no arguing that.
So, this is certified Tairimo Boys fun. There's a reason you always hear about Raiders of the Lost Ark is because, like it's been mentioned, this is like literally one of the greatest movies of all time. When Lucas and Spielberg were working on this, they did an exceptional job. So the reason we're doing this is because we're going to be reviewing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the long sought after fifth Indiana Jones movie that no one asked for.
Not even me. Actually, that's not true. I did ask for it 20 years ago.
Careful what you wish for, Ryan.
Yeah.
Your monkey's paw came true about 14 years ago.
Oh, yeah. What a barrel of fun that was.
That's probably an analysis for another day. But today we'll be talking about the good one. We're going to be doing something different in today's review. Instead of us looking scene by scene, we're going to be looking at characters. We're going to be looking at a few scenes. We're going to be looking at cinematography. So to start this out, it's best that we start from the beginning. The opening scene to Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm hoping everyone has seen this movie. If not, go see it. There's your final thoughts. But
You can just shut it off right now if you haven't seen it. And also be very, very ashamed.
I haven't seen this movie yet.
Well, go watch and return.
All right.
Meanwhile, the opening scene is probably the most. It's either the most or the second most iconic scene in this movie. We jump right into the action right away. We get a feeling what this movie's going to be about. Indy as a character. We've got betrayal. We've got exploration. We got action. We got boulder chasing.
We got Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2.
Yep, we got him. Definitely got him. He doesn't have the arms though. Who was that? Was that the guy that actually went to the temple with him?
Yep.
Yeah. The guy that got speared, or he got caught on that spear trap in the last, when Indy was making his escape.
If he had had those arms.
Yeah, if only he had those extra arms.
He could touch the sunlight before then. It just exemplifies what's so good about this movie. You got your action hero. He's manly. You want to be him, and we'll discuss that later on. He's not afraid of bats. He's not afraid of spiders. He is afraid of snakes. So,
Aren't we all?
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
doesn't stop him though. It just gives you the idea of what Indy is right away. Like you've got this whole booby trap temple. Like he's like one step ahead when it comes to like these traps. Like, oh, this floor is rigged. If I hit the muddy plate, that's gotta be fresh mud. If I hit this fresh muddy plate, it shoots a dart out. And here's a little fun fact for you. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the Mythbusters actually did a segment on the running through the dart trap, and it is possible to run through the dart trap.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
So it's not like it's not realistic.
That and when Adam swings across the chasm. Is that the same episode?
Maybe it's been a few years since I saw it. I think they were testing out. I think were they doing like fully LucasArts stuff that episode?
I can't remember. I think so.
Time to watch Mythbusters.
Stay tuned for that review. Not really.
No, you can watch that one on yourself.
You just when you're watching Indy, like you want to be Indy. You want to be fearless. You want to be knowledgeable about this stuff. One of the best parts is like when Indy actually gets to the Golden Idol. Like before he goes in the temple, you see him like stuffing a bag full of sand. Like, maybe he knows that this is going to happen, or maybe he's run into it in the past, but he's going to have to try replacing that idol with a sandbag. Doesn't work, but hey, at least he tried.
A for effort.
We're talking about Indy a lot right now. Let's analyze his character a little bit more. So Indy, like we mentioned, he's fearless minus snakes. He's knowledgeable. He's an archaeology professor, and he teaches at a college. So Ryan is our residential archaeologist. I got a question for you.
Okay.
Were your archaeology classes full of women?
Yeah, actually.
Attractive women? Question mark.
Who? Sometimes,
And there you have it.
but none of them were ever flirting with the professor, and the professors never looked like Harrison Ford.
Okay, you completely surprised me. Like, I had a whole shtick written on this, but like I just got to throw it out the window now.
There goes the shtick. God damn it, debunked.
What's the shtick?
Oh, I was gonna be like, it's probably gonna be a bunch of like fat hairy guys like wanting to be like Harrison Ford, yeah, Indiana Jones. Nope, it's actually women. In Indy's classroom, it's like all girls wanting to get with Indy. Ryan, you may know this. I don't think Jeremy does if he didn't do any research, which Jeremy isn't the type of person who does any research.
Nope. As it is.
In the original cut of the movie, like Indy was supposed to be dating one of the girls in his class, but they ended up cutting that because they didn't want Indy coming off as like a playboy type character, even though he kind of does, especially in the next movie where the beginning is pretty much like James Bond type opening.
Tuxedo and all.
One of the big things, like I mentioned with the first scene, is he's fearless. Like later on in the movie, the Nazis got the Ark of the Covenant. They're driving off with it, and he gets on horseback, and Marion's like, "You got a plan?" He's like, "Nope." He says something like that, and just runs off on his horse, and like takes on a bunch of armed Nazis in trucks.
He improvises as he goes.
He ends up coming out ahead. Like most people would just probably piss their pants and fuck off.
That's pretty much my philosophy. I have improvised as I've gone along. Unfortunately, I have never come out ahead.
Amen to that.
So you know what? Fuck Indiana Jones.
You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fuck off.
Yeah.
Sounds like you know the fuck off part.
Yeah.
Another thing to mention is Indy's not invincible. Like there are times where he's getting shot. Like in almost all the movies, I think it's all the movies actually, he fights like a big bruiser type character that just kicks his ass. He only comes out ahead due to luck. Indy is a mortal character. Is that the right thing I'm thinking of?
Yeah. He's not invincible. He's very much mortal.
His hat, however, is.
So this is bullwhip. Speaking of a mortal character, something I noticed in the movie is the villains and their henchmen in this movie are competent. This isn't like Stormtroopers where they have Stormtrooper aim. At every point in the movie, like all the villains and the henchmen feel like they're major threats. Like they can kill Indy at any second. Jeremy, your thoughts?
That's true. That gives a lot more fun, or makes the movie a lot more fun because you know he's not invincible, and so you get that danger element with it.
Ryan,
And so when he comes out on top, it's a big win.
Ryan, your thoughts?
Yep, same. That's my favorite part about Indy and the villains is that they're relatable and they're not, what's it called? Gary Stews.
I guess that is the perfect thing, but they don't make him like too stupid either. Like there are a few points where people are spraying machine guns, but it feels like realistic. Like the one scene I remember is whenever they're carrying Marion in the basket to the truck, and Indy runs out into the street, and like a guy pulls out a submachine gun and starts spraying. Now none of the bullets hit, but realistically, that's probably what's going to happen if a guy who's definitely not trained in this is just spraying a gun in the middle of a like busy street. So it feels realistic. So while we're on the topic of villains, like I want to talk about the main villains. So there's three of them. Ryan, you're probably going to have to help me with their names. First off, we have the rival archaeologist Belloc. Belloc. I think Salah says Belloc.
It's gotta be announced a lot.
It says Balash at first.
Well, I definitely said it wrong.
And then Indy starts laughing at him, and I felt bad for Salah the first time I watched it. It's like, stop laughing at him.
Well, I mean, it's just clever writing. Like the guy doesn't understand French and is saying his name wrong.
Yeah.
Like in a worse movie, like Salah would just be saying his name wrong. No, it'd be saying his name right the entire movie. Then we have creepy torturer doctor guy.
Arnold Tote, a guy that wears a black suit in the middle of the Cairo desert.
Gangsta.
Black's fashionable. He also has a magical murder bag. So, Balak, he's really the strongest of the three major villains.
He's running the show.
Yeah, Tote just kind of pops in every once in a while. You don't get much about him. The guy's like a sociopath. I wouldn't say sociopath, a freaking psychopath. Like he's the type of person that just a minor annoyance he starts torturing people.
He's just coat hangering people everywhere.
Then we get the third villain, the Nazi major guy.
I think that's Colonel Dietrich.
That sounds familiar, but
Nail on the head.
he doesn't. We're probably not gonna mention him much anymore, if at all, because he doesn't really do a lot. He just leads the Nazis. Belloc talks to him a bit, and that's it. But I mean, as a Nazi commander, like, what else are you gonna do? With that said, I want to talk about Belloc. Jeremy, give me your thoughts on him.
I thought he was a fun rival for Indy because he always steals from Indy, and then he's always thinking he's one step ahead. But Indy's always 2 steps ahead.
So you hit on my huge thing. Well, a few of my things I'm gonna say, but I don't agree with you when it comes to Indy being 2 steps ahead of him. I think Indy just kind of improvises to get ahead of him. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Wait, were you saying Indy is 2 steps ahead of him, or Belloc is 2 steps ahead of Indy?
I said Belloc was 1 step ahead of Indy, and Indy was 2 steps ahead.
Ah, gotcha.
But yeah, Cody, what you say does make sense, just like we just talked about. He's an improviser.
Ryan, what do you think of him?
I don't normally like to say this phrase out loud, but I agree with Cody.
You haven't heard my whole thing yet. Wait till you hear that.
With the improvising thing, with that, I agree. I really Belloc's my favorite villain in the whole series. I love how smart he is. I love he's a good rival. I love how he showed up in the beginning and got the idol from him. I don't know. Classy as fuck too.
He's a classy man.
Yep.
His family owns a vineyard.
Yep.
I wish my family owned a vineyard.
You'd be drunk all the time.
Guilty as charged.
Let me get
vineyard and work with the Nazis to try to get a Judeo-Christian artifact to destroy the world. What are we talking about?
That comes with the job occupation.
Let me give my analysis. So you guys have kind of hit on this perfectly already, but I've got a few more things to say. When you think Indiana Jones, you're thinking of a fearless action hero with a gun and a whip. Typically, you'd think that his rival is going to be someone who can match his whipping and shooting skills, but that's not the case. What we have is Belloc, and he is a villain who he isn't going into these ruins and doing all this shit like Indy is. He's a villain who uses his words as weapons. So I was thinking about this after the movie. Every time Belloc shows up, what's happened is he's 1 step ahead of Indy. Like Indy's already went and looted the thing, and then Belloc shows up. Every single time, Belloc has an army at his back, so he doesn't have to do any fighting. You think about it, like every time Belloc was ahead, that's exactly what was happening. At the beginning, whenever Indy got out with the Golden Idol, Belloc had all the tribesmen there, which Indy, of course, Indy just couldn't shoot him. He had to run off. We get to the second time, right after the Marion is presumed dead, in which once again he's monologuing with Indy, and whenever Indy starts getting threatening, every single person in the bar that they're in pulls out a gun ready to shoot Indy. Next time is right after they get the Ark of the Covenant, they're wheeling it out, rope gets severed, and he's up top with the Nazis right behind him. Final time is whenever Indy's going to shoot the Ark of the Covenant with the bazooka, and well, that was more rocket launcher now that I think of it. But once again, he's got the Nazis at his back.
Smart man.
Yep. So he's someone who uses his words and other people's brute force as weapons. But as we mentioned with when it comes to Indy has to improvise in order to come out on top of him till the end when he just kind of explodes.
Who knew God would kill the Nazis?
Speaking of God and stuff like that, I want to address this. Ryan, is Temple is Temple of Doom a prequel?
Correct.
Okay.
Temple of Doom takes place in 1935. Raiders takes place in 1936.
Okay. One of the things Indy is big in the series is like he doesn't believe in magic.
Or some superstitious hocus pocus.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's constantly saying magic and superstitious hocus pocus.
Yep.
Except for that one time with aliens, but we don't talk about that time.
No, we are definitely not going to talk about that time.
Oh, I am. Stay tuned. I'm probably going to bring that up in the next review.
Stay tuned for Ryan's rants. But yeah, and Temple of Doom, I know we're not reviewing that, but you've got all the heart pulling out stuff and magical stones going on. So there's magic going on, and then this movie, Indy's already seen magic. So you get to this movie, and now you've got god ghosts and lightning and stuff.
Melting
Which
face.
I can only... Melting faces. I can only assume it's the wrath of God.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Indy didn't get to see the melting faces. He kind of had his eyes closed.
That's true.
I mean, wouldn't you guys at that moment?
No,
I would.
I wouldn't know to close my eyes. I'd probably watch. I want to talk about some of the cinematography of this movie and just general stuff in the movie. What I really liked is there's certain portions of the movie which feel like really like biblical. The scene that most stands out to me is whenever they're digging at night. You see them on the mound digging at night for the Ark of the Covenant, and like there's like it's dark. There's lightning out. It's kind of like a Ten Commandments type lightning, I guess you would call it.
That's appropriate to say.
Whenever it comes to like the more biblical stuff, they shoot like biblically when it comes to cinematography. It's just amazing.
It is. A lot of biblical references in these movies.
I mean, they're searching for biblical relics, Jeremy.
Amen to that, Cody.
And two of them.
So, Ryan, what was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene. Give me a second. That's a hard one for this movie.
There's too many good ones.
Jeremy, why don't you take this one for a second?
Oh, shit. I need a second, too, for this one. Cody, what was your favorite scene?
Hot potato.
My favorite scene is, I'm going to say when they're deciphering the Staff of Ra headpiece. Just how clever it is. So for the two people in the world that haven't ever seen this movie, or just the general people who don't remember the movie very well, they get the staff head of Ra, and they got like some Egyptian scholar like looking at it.
Hebrew.
There you go. He's deciphering it like, oh, we need like you need to, it needs to be like 57 inches tall. And then on the back of it, it has, you need to take one off for something or another.
To honor God.
There you
the
go.
Hebrew God. I think it was like 72 inches minus a foot or something like that. I really should read that Hebrew book that my ex-girlfriend got me. Who was an archaeologist. She was cute. What were we talking about?
Our traumas.
Sorry.
So they're deciphering this, and like during the whole thing, you see like one of the assassin characters that we've been following with a monkey. He goes in and poisons their dates, like completely realistic type of death. Like it's not gonna be an action scene. It's gonna be everyone probably vomiting blood. So Indy grabs one of these dates, and while they're talking about like this staff piece, like he's like getting ready to eat it, kind of like the Austin Powers shit drinking scene. If you want a comparison.
Except there's no shadow penis puppets in Raiders. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So earlier in the movie, Totes, the Dr. Nazi, when he's grabbing like the headpiece of Ra, it's like smoldering hot, and he ends up burning it into him. That's how the Nazis get the staff, but they don't get the back of it, since of course he didn't burn the other side into him. So they're digging in the wrong spots. They figure this out, and they're all happy, celebrating. Indy goes to throw the freaking date in the air to like catch it in his mouth, and right before it goes into his mouth, Salah just grabs it, which establishes this guy's a freaking loyal character, and points out like, hey, the fucking monkey's dead. These dates are bad.
They killed the Nazi monkey.
Point to Sala. Nice catch.
It probably would just be more effective just to shove them out of the way. Oops, missed the date. Well,
Probably weird to see the main hero character get shoved to the floor, though.
By his partner, yes.
all right, back to the question. Who wants to go first? Who wants to go second?
Jeremy, you want to take this or me?
You. I don't even know if I can pick a favorite.
I'm gonna go with the truck chase
That's a good one.
Because-
I was thinking that myself.
because it has great action. I love the chase on the horse, and then the music through that entire thing. I don't know. Everything just came together perfectly for an action scene.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the villains are competent in this movie. Like, and you're on the edge of your seat during this whole fight because he's running to these Nazis with all these guns and trying to hijack a truck. Meanwhile, there's another car shooting at him. Then a whole bunch of the Nazis get out of the back of the truck and start climbing on the sides. And then one of them eventually makes it, shoots him, and then throws him like out onto the hood of the car. And then we see the scene where Indy's like holding onto the front, and they've all figured out like, hey, just ram the back of the next car and you'll kill him. So he slides under, and I'd really like to know how the stunt double did that. And climbs up back and ends up beating the Nazi.
Those scenes are so great. It's one of the best ones, easily.
I will say this: the part where each of them throws each other out the windshield, that part is unrealistic, and I know that because I've tried that with everybody that tries to tell me how to drive, and I can only get their head so far to the dashboard.
All right, now that we're working on our anger issues,
Ryan needed that therapy session.
I feel better now.
that's the first step, is admitting you opened up.
So, Jeremy, you want to add anything?
See, I can't. I was thinking of that scene too, but I can't use it now. I really, really did enjoy the opening scene of the movie. Like we talked about earlier, how it sets up the rest of the movie. You get your villain early on. You get Indy establish who he is as a man and an archaeologist. I'm gonna have to say, I'll go with that one.
Fair enough. Now, I do want to mention one more scene. Two iconic scenes. The Staff of Ra scene and the Snake Pit scene.
Wow,
I would go as far as to say 3, even. The opening of the arc.
Well, everyone loves the conclusion.
my favorite part was the credits.
Don't you mean your favorite part of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was the credits?
Yep, that's a review for another time.
Foreshadowing. Let's talk about the Staff of Ra scene. Salah gets Indy in the room. Salah, whatever.
Sala.
I am bad at names, Ryan.
You know this, but this movie is close to my heart.
So Indy gets in the room, and there's a miniature of like the city. Indy's like on a time limit, kind of like an imaginary time limit of the sun's only going to hit the point at a certain time of day, and he finds a spot, and we get the iconic scene where he sticks the staff into the hole. That's what she said.
You beat me by 1 second.
That's what Marion said.
Yeah, she got dicked. We know that 100% sure from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yeah. So we get the beam of light that shows them exactly where the Ark of the Covenant is. Now, I don't know if you guys ever... Ryan, you probably noticed this. You probably read it a million times. On the main temple, in that little miniature, it said in German, do not disturb.
Yep.
Which was kind of a warning of what was going to happen. The actual foreshadowing. That scene just... It's really energizing. Like, you'd love to be able to do something like that cool in real life.
Who didn't want to be Indiana Jones growing up? You can fight me if you said otherwise.
Me.
That's bullshit. Bullshit.
Bullshit. We're bringing out the whips. We're going to have a whip off.
Sometimes you actually get in trouble as an archaeologist if you say that.
What?
If you wanted to be Indiana Jones growing up, or you were inspired by Indiana Jones, they all kind of roll their eyes at you.
I mean, he made it cool.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the final scene. Well, not the final scene, but the final Nazi scene that kind of concludes the story. After the rocket launcher scene, Indy's captured. This is typically where we do maybe they should have shot him bit, but like Indy was... This isn't like Iron Man. This is just Indiana Jones. And they had him kind of pretty much secure. So he wasn't going to get away this time. Nazis are all standing around. Ark of the Covenant. They open it up. If you're unfamiliar with the Bible, it's supposed to have the smashed Ten Commandment tablets in them. They figure out, as soon as they open it, oh, it's full of sand. Yeah, maybe the Ten Commandments got like ground down really low. Blow it off right away. We got screwed. We found nothing. There's nothing in here. Right before all the ghosts come out, kill everyone.
Shouldn't have got this ark from that Nigerian prince.
I think the Nigerian prince would keep the ark for themselves and give you the one made out of wood. Ryan, do you know why Indy kind of figured out, like, oh, we need to keep our eyes closed for this?
I believe there's a part in the Bible where they talk about you're not supposed to look inside it. You're not supposed to touch it. I think that's all in the Bible.
Okay.
Ryan, I believe you are correct on that.
Yeah. I'm not a biblical scholar, but we're going to go with that because it makes sense. Indy never really touched it, did he? Because, like, whenever they grabbed it, they stuck the poles in its sides.
I don't remember him touching the ark. I remember him, like, touching the box they put it in.
Yeah, that's fair enough, though. Didn't in the Bible, didn't they keep the ark in, like, a stone box anyway?
Well, I mean, the modern crate.
I know, but still, I think even the Hebrews back then knew not to touch the damn thing. And then I can write the rest of it off as, yeah, it shoots lightning, so that's why all the other Nazis died. So, okay, that answers that question. Of course, we find out at the end that top men are looking at it.
Who?
Top men.
Top men.
And then it's boxed away. A lot of government secrets it gets hidden with.
Boxed away, never to be seen again until 2007. All right. So, Jeremy, final thoughts?
Never bring a gun to a whip fight, and never bring a sword to a gunfight.
Fair enough. Ryan, final thoughts?
It was all right.
All right. You've melded your whole life after this movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
I gotta ask you, Ryan, do you have your own full whip?
Yeah, he does.
I did when I was a kid, and we had a basketball court out front of the house, and I got it stuck on I whipped it across the pole, the cross pole, and I tried to climb it and the whip broke.
There's the end of Indy's adventure.
Yep. I wouldn't have lasted long in this movie. I would have lasted the first 5 minutes. And then
you died in the temple.
No, you wouldn't have. You would have gotten speared in the light.
Oh, yeah, that's a segment we should do. Where would we have died?
No, we would have gotten shot in the back by the betrayal guy.
Yeah.
The pack mule guy at the
make
beginning.
It to the temple. We didn't even make it.
Probably would have gotten shanked at the airport.
That's our segment. How long will the Tairimo Boys survive in this?
Negative 50 hours when we got shanked at the airport.
We died before the movie even rolled.
Ryan, on a scale of Raiders of the Lost Ark to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where would you rank this movie?
Raiders of the Lost Ark, greatest movie of all time.
All right, fair enough. Jeremy, where would you rank it?
Right at Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You're going for the safe approach. I like that.
Better safe than sorry.
As we mentioned, this is one of the greatest movies of all time. If you're one of the 5, there's probably 3 more have been born since I said that. This said the 2. That haven't seen this movie, go definitely see it. Go definitely rewatch it before Dial of Destiny comes out, because Dial of Destiny is going to be a trash fire.
It's gonna be a bad one.
All right. Thanks for joining us on today's Tairimo Boys podcast. Stay tuned for more. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, especially if it's mentioning how much you love Indiana Jones. We really like reading that, even though we don't get them.
But we imagine everybody loves Indiana Jones.
Stay tuned for another episode of Tairimo Boys podcast.